Hello everyone, I'm GamersGuy and I've decided to make a video to show my method of ship pushing, hopefully to help people out who aren't very good at ship pushing. And this is a very important part of the game if you want to be in a good guild, but it's also a very complicated part of the game, mostly because this is just Ray maths. You'll understand why later. Um, so in the first part of the video, I'll explain what each section of the Multicalc ship arena tab does, and then I'll show my method of pushing. So yeah, let's start with this bit. These are your general upgrades and other like outside sources of stats, your virtual level, your ship arena orb, etc. I don't really pay too much attention to this section. I just go to the import tab, which you can find somewhere on the bottom. Normally I think it's hidden for some reason, but I prefer to not fill these in manually and to just use the import tab. If you have filled them in manually, you'll see that instead of it saying equals main something, it'll just have a value in it, and that means it will stop updating. So if you want it to be fixed, you just click this shiny button that says reset ship bonuses, and then everything will work out fine. Ascension is always at 10 because it's so cheap to max out. So make sure that your Ascension is correct, which you can find in the point tab over here. And trophy is also something you'll have to put in manually. And trophy can be sometimes weird, but we'll get to that later. Over here we can find the trophy points, and to the right side here we can find the ultimum and iMatter you have. Both sections have a current and a test opponent total and used. Those are very important numbers to look at. Most of the time you'll be looking at test opponents, which is to see if you can afford something, as long as this isn't reds. So if it's a negative value, it's just going to be like, oh, you can't afford this. Let's get some really disturbingly high numbers. There we go. So it's just going to be like, oh yeah, you can't afford this, downgrade stuff because you're not going to be able to make this build. And the same thing for Ultimum and iMatter is just going to be like, yeah, you need to downgrade some stuff. You can find here how much you still have. The current section is also quite interesting, especially for the method I'll be using, which is to work downwards. Basically, if it says that you can afford your current with your current like resources, that if you can afford this build, you no longer need to actually pay attention to trophies or the ultimate or whatever. That means that you can just like keep the build for the rest of the path, and that just spares down the amount of times you need to upgrade stuff. This is a section I don't really pay attention to, the available trophies tracker. It's good to double check if your stats are correct. For example, if you reset the ship, which you can do once per week, it will not update your trophies until you refresh, and you'll end up with double the trophies, and that will mess up the ship push. So make sure that you refresh and that the amount of trophies is not a ridiculously high amount. So yeah, I don't really pay too much attention to this. You don't really need it for the push itself, but it's just there in case you need it. Then you have a current push build and a test build. The ship sheet looks at test build only. So the first thing actually we're going to want to do is to transcribe your current build to test build, which you can do with this very useful update test button. The update current button does the exact opposite, where it gets your test build to update current to the current build. It does a bunch of other things as well, though. It updates your current trophies, ultimate, and iMatter, and a lot of people don't realize this. They just click on the update current because, oh yeah, I want my upgrades to be the same across both now. And this messes up the entire calc. You don't want to click on this button unless your ship push is finished. So I prefer to just ignore this button. I just find it a curse, but some people might find it useful, so that's what it's used for. You can just do another export into the import tab once you're done, and it'll do the same thing basically. This is a very important part, the ship stats and results. This small cell just tells you what your what opponent you're testing against. The results show like how much HP or armor is left. So once it's 0, that means that you've won. It'll tell you that the winner is you instead of the AI, and you'll get some AP out of it. So that's nice. The important ship stats, especially they are in the order of things in terms of importance. The amount of attacks, you want this to be 0, 1, and 0, 1, 2 here. So this is fine, this is fine, this is not fine, it needs to be 0, 1, 2. I'll explain why a bit later when I go over the what you want your upgrades to be like, but first I'm going to talk about the HP remaining and hits taken. HP remaining can be useful to see if you can downgrade hull or upgrade hull if it needs to happen. Hits taken is another good guideline. Generally, you want left and middle ship to take an equal amount of hits, around 9, and late game maybe 10. And the right ship wants to take a few more hits than left and middle ship, but not too many more because upgrades get very expensive. I don't really pay attention to these things. These are just to double check if you're on the correct test opponent. Now, before I start, there's a bunch of different reasons why you can suddenly fail on your first attempt. Generally, people write in the wrong trophies. Here it says health and damage on top of each other, but the trophy order changes if you refresh the game, so make sure that you have the correct trophies in the correct category. Some people forget to put in their ascension. Some people forget to turn on their orb if they don't like to have every orb unlocked. Sometimes this happens a lot if you push in a different guild than your own. The stats will not update correctly. If you just join the guild, you'll have to either enter a series, and sometimes that's not even enough. You just need to do a hard refresh. So a Control F5, I think, will do the trick. If you're on IU helper, just F5, and you'll be fine. Make sure to check. This is the number at the bottom of the Space Academy summary tab. This is the gold passives. You can find those stats in the game itself. There's a useful ship guide here. Text version, basically. So if you want to double check if you prefer reading, you can just go there instead. And there's a ship arena pathviewer here. Clicking on this brings up this window, and this is just a nice overview for your entire path. That way you can just look at this screen and you have all of your builds in eyesight, which is really useful. Okay, so now we have upgrades. So what are rule of thumbs? Because you can't just make a build that works for everyone. Unfortunately, differences in Space Academy level, guild level, passives, even the amount of trophies you have, the amount of ultimum you have, if you've done some ultimum fast tracking, can change your builds. So be very careful, and a lot of this is just going to be experimenting. But fortunately, there are a few rule of thumbs. We're currently in a 0-1-2, 0-1-3 meta. Sorry, that means the amount of attacks that each ship will be doing is 0, 1, and 3. The first number here. So reactor in general is just useless. This is because of trophy health. Trophy health amplifies how effective hull is. It does not work on reactor. Reactor would have given more HP than hull, but because it's not multiplied by trophy health, it just doesn't do much. Like, it'll give you like 50 extra hit points, while a level in hull will give you like 500 to 800 extra hit points depending on where you are. So you're not going to care about reactor at all. Left ship will not attack, so wings are completely useless, and weapon is completely useless on this ship. The weapon on middle ship is kind of useful because it will at least attack and it's a bit of extra chip damage. But if you can avoid it, avoid doing this. I do not like how high this level is. This is someone else's ship sheet that I'm hijacking for this tutorial. because there's a few interesting things I can show with this. But 50 is way too much. I think I only needed 35 to reach boss 500. So if you have to go above 35, chances are that there's a better way to do it. Though you can reset one ship per week, so don't be afraid to level up weapon near the end of the push if you think it is necessary. Right ship will have like 3 of its upgrades used, which is weapon, hull, and wings. My general rule of thumbs for these are to have right ship hull slightly higher than left and middle ship hull, and weapon and wings will be roughly equal in level, but higher than hull. And that's about as much as I can give in terms of tips of what your upgrades would look like. The rest is just trial and error. Then we have our drones. Regen and Leech are pretty much useless. The only reason that they are maxed is because you have a overdose of eye matter that you just get that's completely useless, so might as well just max them. Reflection, Shield Penetrator, and Deadly Increase are very useful drones though. Reflection will make the enemy AI attack themselves whenever they attack you. Shield Penetrator means that you can break through the enemy shield further. It makes you deal more damage to their shield basically. And Deadly Increase is the entire reason that you can go this far in Arena. Like, everything in this guy pretty much revolves around Deadly Increase. It gives you 27% extra damage per ship that you've lost. And what these numbers here mean, because I never actually explained them, is like attacks done when all 3 ships are alive, attacks done when 2 of the ships are alive, and attacks done when there's only 1 ship alive. Middle ship always attacks first, which is why you don't upgrade wings, and which is why it will always be 1-0-0. So the meta is 0-1-2, which means that this right ship here will attack once when there's 2 ships left and right, and twice when it's the only survivor. So that means that it's going to attack twice at 54% extra damage, which means that you just get 108% extra damage just for free, because eye matter's in excess from all the ships you get, from all the ship bosses you kill. So that's just 104% damage for free, which is ridiculous when you think about it. It's just 200% damage. And this is why you want your right ship to attack twice when it's alone. So if your right ship attacks twice, for example, when the left ship is still there, you're going to fail. And that's why wings is dangerous. But there's a few other reasons, and you'll see why later when I do the actual ship pushing. So yeah, those are your drones. You're going to want to max them in this order that they are here. Regen and Leech usually don't do anything, but sometimes can just, in edge cases, can help you anyway. So, now I can finally get to the actual push. I am one of the people that prefers to work backwards. I used to work forward, and working forward is easier at first, because it's just like, okay, you try to make your ships win, and then you just increase a test opponent, and then you upgrade again to see what you need to upgrade to beat that. And people find this easier because you generally only have to upgrade 1 or 2 things, or maybe trophies once, and it's just easier to like pull off. But it is a lot more effort. So what people prefer to do is like they do 5 opponents at once, because every multiple of 5 plus 1, the ship gets extra stats, which is to make up for the fact that every multiple of 5 you get increased rewards from the ship boss that you defeat. And your upgrades have a similar thing where every multiple of 5 just gives way more stats than the 4 levels individually before it. This, however, if I were to work all my way to 500, I would need to do like 34 something different steps. And if you look at the path viewer, I don't think there's 34 columns here. And that's because you don't need 34 columns. There's actually more than enough columns here for your entire path if you play it smart. So I prefer to work backwards. And working backwards has its major advantages. It has a few disadvantages though, and this biggest disadvantage is the start. You have to figure out how far you can go. How do you figure this out? Trial and error. There is no other way about it. Especially if the first person of your guild to do a push, you just have to try to gauge how far you can go. Get better at it the more you do it, but it's just like there's no sure way to mathematically calculate how far you can go. You just need to wing it. And I know beforehand I can get to 390, so that's why I put 390. But what you can just do is like if I were to go 395 and I try to make a build, but I just can't. But like I can see that I'm very close in the amount of ultimate that I need. I know, okay, maybe I'll just have to lower it by 5. It is generally best to end on a multiple of 5 because of the scaling of bosses. Because, for example, as you can see here, going from 389, so it has 14,000.7. The boss got like 50 extra HP, and when I go to 391, the boss got like 300 extra HP. So yeah, so always end on a multiple of 5 if you can. They also give the most rewards, so that's just a good way to do it. Trophy spec is extremely important. You can generally have them roughly equal in level. They're mostly really useful if your build is not very optimized. For example, if you have way too much weapon, you can lower the amount of trophy damage and increase trophy health. If you have way too much hull on your ships, you can lower trophy health and increase trophy damage. And trophies are free, and you can just upgrade and downgrade them as you wish. So that makes them very useful for fine-tuning your build. This is once again just going to be a trial and error. I think I had this at 74. So I think for 390, I'm going to want my hull to be roughly 65. This is just, again, winging it, and I kind of know this from memory, but like, don't be afraid to try weird stuff. This is just really trial and error. I don't like this middle ship's upgrades. The wing is completely useless. I'm going to downgrade that. And I'm going to downgrade weapon to 35, because generally it's not needed either. Now, this is a bit dangerous to do, but I think it gives you the correct resources. But generally what you want to do is like, you want to reset, refresh, and then do an export again so that you can be sure that you have the correct resources. The reason why I'm doing it like this though is because this is an old build, and if I did an export, it would overwrite these bonuses, and I don't want that to happen. And it's also not my account, I did it for someone else, so yeah, just have to live with this. But imagine that I actually just reset the ship and then did a re-export after refreshing. So yeah, this hull is way too low. So I'm gonna get it like 10 levels above the other two. That's just once again winging it. Generally, wings and weapon will be slightly higher. I'll just get it to a multiple of 5. So okay, not enough attacks. So this is the first thing you want to do, is you want to have enough attacks. So I'm gonna get this. I'm gonna upgrade 5 at a time because I have enough resources for that. Still not. 90. Is 90 enough? 90 is enough. Okay. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna see if I can maybe get it with less. I cannot. Okay. So 90 it is. And then since weapon and wings have roughly the same amount of levels, I'm gonna get weapon to 90. Okay, this is a very good result. I'm very close to beating him, and I still have 32,000 ultimum, which is a decent amount. I'll upgrade. Whoops, that's not what I wanted to do. I'll upgrade right weapon as high as I can. It's just not enough, I think. Even if I upgrade it to 94, I don't have enough resources for that. Okay, so at the end of the build, it is fine to upgrade the middle ship weapon. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to upgrade it until I can beat the boss. And looking at this, I think the next upgrade will do it. Huzzah! I have beaten this boss. I have just enough resources for that. I need to be very careful when executing the builds. If I accidentally upgrade any of these one level higher, I'm screwed and I can't finish the build. So what you need to do now is you want to click on the build manager button and then click on save current build. If you haven't done this yet, or if you haven't done an export yet, it's going to ask you to allow scripts. You just copy this and then you put this on a cell here. I've put it here, and then click on load, it'll overwrite it, and it'll work fine. You can keep the build manager on the side. It's kind of a bit distracting for me, but it's generally best to keep it on the side. If you remove it and you just click on it again, every build you had there is gone. What you can do is you can copy a build by copy pasting this text here, putting it here, and then clicking on load. So that'll work. So every time you make changes, you want to save your build, and I prefer to put it in the build manager. That way I have a nice overview. It's going to look like this at the end, where I can just be like, okay, at this level I need that, at this level I need that, at this level I need that, and keep going. Yeah, I'm just going to get rid of the build manager, but like generally you're going to want to keep it to the right side. And every time you finish a build, you just copy and put it in like the next slot. So I'll just showcase how it looks like, because I didn't actually do it. I'll just click on load, and bam. And the nice thing is the cells in blue tell you, because it's the same build, so every cell in blue tells you, okay, you need to upgrade this now. So here you can see better, like I know, okay, I just need to upgrade 3 things here, downgrade trophy because it's in red. And you have the same kind of thing here, because I downgraded. You can do that once per week on one ship, and the red just means that it's a downgrade, so you have to be careful. It might not be possible to execute that way, but I know I can, because it's just one ship that I've reset. But be careful, like be very careful when doing ship pushes. So okay, I can beat 390. This is like the hardest part actually. I made it look easy, but like this is really the hardest part of the ship push, is just finding a build. Generally people just try to look at what others did that are very close in stats to them. Like I said, general rule of thumb, just keep weapon and wings relatively equal. Hulls lower, these lower than that hull. Trophies, similar if you can. If you have too much weapon, lower damage, higher health. If you have too much hull, lower health, higher damage. So okay, I'm gonna now go down one test opponent. I cannot beat the test opponent with the amount of resources that I have, unfortunately, because I have a deficit of 4,000 ultima. Okay, I'm just gonna downgrade middle ship weapon to 37, 36. Okay, 36 is enough. So once again, build manager, save builds, put it here, loads, and keep going that way. I'm just going to work like this because it's just quicker for the sake of the tutorial. So keep working down. Okay. So 388. This is when things get a bit more difficult again. Is I have to downgrade trophies and an upgrade at the same time. And unfortunately, a lot of the upgrades rely on the trophies as well, like damage gets boosted by this and health is like multiplicative. So lowering 1 is a pretty big hit, lowering 2 is an even bigger hit. But I'll try to lower trophy health. I prefer to lower that first, because it's very easy to see if you cannot beat the boss with a current trophy, with like lower trophy, but I can. So lowering trophy health is fine. Lowering trophy damage maybe can work, but not in this case, so I'll just keep it at 74 for now. It's good to try to lower as many upgrades as possible as you can. That way you have to level up, like you have to upgrade as little as possible. It's just to win time really, because generally executing a build takes about half an hour if you're quick, but you should focus on doing it well rather than doing it quick, because if you upgrade something too high, it can really screw over your build. Making the build itself can take half an hour to 2 hours depending on how good you are. Some people have taken even longer. If you need help, just don't be afraid to ask people in your guild or in general to help you with this. But okay, I've lowered trophy. I still have an ultimate deficit, so maybe I'll try lowering middle ship weapon even more. This is not enough. I don't remember what I actually did last time. I think I had it to 35, maybe 34. No, 35 is too much. So yeah, this is the tricky part of the builds. I did it right before before recording. I had a successful attempt, but I don't remember exactly how I did it. Let me actually look at, because I have a build saved. Oh right, now I remember. I did a very weird thing that usually doesn't work. I lowered middle and left ship hull, and now I can once again afford the build. So this is what I mean, like, it's a lot of trial and error. See if you can lower this, if not, see if you can lower this, else try these upgrades. If you cannot, it is entirely possible that you have found an end build that is not pathable. There's a few ways you can cope with it. You can either try to increase your personal space, get a few levels of ship arena orb. Maybe you need a few more days for your next legendary damage upgrades. If you cannot, then you'll just have to cut your losses and aim lower. There's nothing you can do about that, but the good thing is at least you'll eventually get there anyway with further ship pushes, so don't fret on it too much. Okay, so I'm going to keep lowering the test opponent now. I'm at 387. So this is cool. I don't need to do anything here. I can still afford everything and everything works fine. At 386 I'm going to hit a snag though. Yep, not enough ultimate. So I'm going to try once again, just lower everything I can. I can lower right weapon. The one you want to pay the most attention to is actually wings, but I know from experience that this early on I cannot lower wings because it's at 90 and just lowering to 89 will make me lose a lot of attack speed, so I'm not even going to attempt it for now. But I'm going to go to 385 now. Now I have a trophy deficit, so once again I'll lower health first because I have actually a lot of HP remaining here. And I'll lower trophy damage a bit if I can as well. I don't have a lot of ultimum, so I'm going to try to lower these upgrades as well. This works fine. This doesn't, so I'll just keep it at 99. Okay. Worth of trying wings, but in this case it won't work. So okay, I'll just have to lower now and keep working down. And don't forget to, like, every time build manager, save build. I generally prefer to just put the end build here, so this is the end build for 367. I just know, okay, here I need to upgrade that, and then I can do 4 stages without any more upgrades. Then I need to do this. Now I've got a few more stages again. At 382, I need ultimum. I can try lowering right ship weapon. The reason why I'm lowering this first is because it's not it was not at a multiple of 5, so it's gonna have less impact to lower this. The next level will have a huge impact though, as showcased here, so I'll have to keep it at 90 probably for quite a while. But I think I can reach 380 with just this. So 380, there we go. Now I need to lower my ultimate upgrades again. Let me see what I actually did with the trophies, because there was a very weird case. Yeah, I had 71 trophy health. There was a very weird case I want to show because it happens quite a lot, and it's good to know that it can happen. There are two things I can do here actually. I can lower wings, not by 11 though. I can lower wings by 1, and this leaves me room for 4.1 thousand ultimate. Or I have a lot of HP remaining. I can lower right hull by 5, and it can still work. And I'm more inclined to do this because I'll have more ultimate left. So I'll just go down now. 378, 376. Whoops, that was not the one I wanted to do, but it shows the same problem. I'm now at 377. I have a huge problem. My trophies are fine. I have enough trophies for this. I have enough ultimate for this. Yet, I fail. Like, I don't have 3 attacks here. Which makes no sense because this boss is weaker than the one after. But this one works fine. Like, yeah, this one works fine. But like, 376 doesn't work either. 375 won't work either, I think. 375 does work. 376 doesn't work. 377 doesn't work. I have a problem. This is because of wings. Sometimes this very specific like attack speed, like order of attacks, can just screw you over. There's nothing to do about this. So there's a few ways to fix this. 91 wings maybe, like upgrading your wings a bit. However, this is not something I can afford to do because my end build it has 90 wings and I had no leeway of getting 92 wings. So you can try to work this with 92 wings and then just make a new end build, but I have a fine working end build and I want to see if I can do it with just 90 or low wings. I can also try to lower the wings. In some cases that's actually enough. I've had very weird cases where just lowering the wings just fixes everything. On top of that, you just get ultimate for free. It's weird, but like I said, Raymats, you don't question it. It just happens. So I do fail this stage though. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna increase hold back up to 75 because it worked before. I don't have enough ultimate, but if I lower wings to 88, I do have enough ultimate. So this works fine. Now, though, because I had a build saved for 380, that was different. I need to recheck the stages. And this is, by the way, why I go down 1 stage at a time instead of checking 5 stages at a time. Because if I just went straight from 380 to 375, I would have completely missed this weird anomaly and I would have gotten stuck. So I'll go back to 374 and see if I can beat. I can. 379, 3790 works. 380 doesn't. So I'll just have to upgrade wings and I'll need to save this build and change a few things. So yeah, just put these here. And then I just prefer to Control Z all the way back to where I was. And now I can keep working. So I'll go down to 376. And usually after having something like that, the rest of the path is easy. I can try lowering wings first. This should be like, from now on this should be your priority, try to lower wings if possible. Because excess levels of wings add absolutely nothing to the ship battle. So it's just free resources. I can try lowering right weapon. I can. That works. So I'll try lowering trophy health now. See if that works. And then try to lower trophy health as much as possible. It's just so that I don't have to upgrade for quite a while. And this is the big advantage of working backwards. I can just like avoid having to go to the upgrade, especially the trophy section. It just loses so much time. I can just avoid doing this as much as possible. Now try to lower trophy damage, but because I went down from 90 to 89, I'm not going to be able to lower it much, I think. but it is worth checking out just in case. Okay, so 71 is the limit. And now I can just go down a lot, I think. So 375 will work, 374 will work, 373 won't because I don't have an ultimum, but that's fine. I can lower right weapon, right wings maybe. I can lower right wings. Not to 85 though, 86 will have to do. And I'll just keep lowering right weapon again. So yeah, this doesn't work anymore. But now I have a decent amount of resources, so I can keep working down. And from this point on, it's pretty easy. Like usually, whenever you hit like weird wing snag, once you are past that, the build just gets easier and easier as you have more leeway with your resources to work with. So I can go down quite a few now without having to worry about anything. I'll just keep going. I can tell from this that my next challenge is gonna fail. So once again, low wing. I probably can't go below 85 because once again going from 84 to 85 is a huge boost. So yeah, it's gonna fail. I can go right weapon all the way to 85, I think. There we go. Maybe try to lower the hull, which I can. Then try to lower damage a bit, get closer to trophy health amount, and then you just keep working this way. So this is basically what I'm gonna do for the rest of the tutorial. You can already click away, but like I'm just gonna complete it for the sake of completion. So yeah, 366 works, 365 works, 364 works, 363 works, 362, 361, 360 is gonna fail. So I can try to lower wing again, see if that works. It does. I could try to maybe get it to 81, but it's probably gonna fail. So I'll try the middle ground of 82. That works fine. Does 81 work? Nope, it does not. So yeah, like I said, lots of trial and error. Just like keep downgrading whatever you can. If it doesn't work, reset. Keep doing. 81 maybe. I'm not touching trophies a lot because I prefer to just go to that upgrade window as little as possible. It's just a personal preference. I think I can get both middle and left hold to 60. I can get right hold to like 72 maybe. 71. That's just gonna cut it because if I lower to 70 I'm gonna fail. Yep, 71 it is. 359, and now I'm gonna be able to do a lot of stages at once, but I'll still have to check every one individually just in case I hit a boss where wing just fucks you over or something. It's better to be safe than sorry, and it can save you a lot of time later. So don't try to save a couple of seconds now just to end up stuck later. 350, 349. I'm about to hit my trophy. Snag, I think. No. Okay, I can actually go lower than I thought. 342 maybe the limit. Yeah, 342 is the limit. 341. I'm very close to like the baseline clear, which is 331 here. So all I have to do now is see if I can lower trophies enough to be on my current points, and then I never have to touch this section ever again. And generally you don't really need to care too much what you do at this point. There we go. I'll get it to 64 just in case. So now I no longer have to touch trophies. My current trophies setup is affordable from the very start. Now I'm just going to try to do the same thing with Ultimum. So I'll get this down to 80, this down to 80 as well. Let's get them down to like multiples of 5. And huzzah, I can lower it enough to do this. Now I'm just gonna go down and test opponents. And as you can see on the lower times, like you'll have with attack patterns, that's just because my wing is very high, but as long as I can beat the boss, it really doesn't matter. It's mostly important for the upper bosses, but it can still screw you over, so that's why I'm just double checking all the lower stages as well. So 335, 334, 333, 332, and 331. Congratulations, you have a working build path. So all you have to do now is hopefully you've been saving all of these builds here, and you'll have something like this now. And you just go to the game, check what you need to upgrade at the start, and then look at each blue cell what you need to upgrade, maybe the red cells to see what you need to downgrade. This is a very unusual path. Like, it has a lot of like different stages early on and very few later on. This is because this build was very screwed from the start, so I just had to like try to fiddle my way through the early bosses. But generally, it's going to be the opposite. Where like later on, you're going to have to make a new build for every boss, and then very early on, you could just do like 15, 10 or so bosses at a time. So yeah, you also have a load all button here, so in case you haven't been clicking on all these bosses individually, you can just click on load all and it's going to fill this up, this entire thing. So for example, if I remove this and I click on load all, it's going to give me a please run script thing, because I don't think I've run a script on this copy yet. Or it's gonna freeze apparently. Oh, no, never mind. Authorization required. So yeah, it's just gonna ask me that. I clicked this away because it's gonna show my actual account. I want it to be shown. But yeah, I can show it with the other window. I can just copy paste this entire thing here. I just click on load all, and it's gonna run the script. And there we go. Everything's here. So yeah, now all you have to do is to follow this path, look at all of these blue upgrades, and make sure that you don't screw yourself over. So as you saw with the weird case of test opponent 377, where going down a test opponent screws you over because of wings, don't upgrade anything past what is said, even if you can afford it. This is to make sure that you don't screw yourself over by being over upgraded. This is especially important for wings, but for example, having too much middle or left hold can do the same thing. Having too much right weapon can also do the same thing because of leech. It can get you like slightly too much health, and this can also screw you over, so it's just very weird. So once you're done, you just keep doing all of this. You go all the way to 390 in this case, and then you can click update current, and then you no longer have to worry about it. So in this case, so I'm going to do the reverse thing now, where I just copy the end build into the build manager, which you should still have open at all times. Click on load. And then just click on update current again. And there we go. I gain 500,000 AP from this push. And I still have some resources to play with, but too little to really make a difference with. Like 8,000, it's just not going to work. So yeah, this is my method of ship pushing, which is based on Pogbob's method. You can also work forward, but I think working backwards just is quicker once you're used to it. And like I said, it's just mostly trial and error. Keep working on builds, make builds for others or whatever. If you don't like it, try to get help. I'm sure a lot of people are more than willing to help you with it, especially if you're in their guild. And I hope this tutorial was useful for you, and hopefully you'll be able to handle your own ship pushes now and play your guild or whatever. Just or don't. I don't know. That's up to you now. So yeah. Hope this all was useful, and I'll be signing out.